What is up, YouTube? JankyYGO here. My name is Michael, and we have a bunch of new cards to talk about. I am just going to cruise through the Ignister archetype and talk about the other two new cards. And I'm going to preface this now. I actually don't know a lot about the Ignister archetype. I know that there are links, some in deck, and there's Cybers, but other than that, I actually don't know what their theme is. So, I'm probably going to try to review these cards as much as I can in a vacuum, which I know isn't the correct way to usually evaluate Yu-Gi-Oh cards, because Yu-Gi-Oh cards aren't really designed to be played in vacuums other than generic support and generic cards. Archetype cards are usually meant to be worked with the archetype. So I will try my best. No promises. If you guys want to tell me how much of an idiot I am and how wrong I am on cards, feel free to do so in the comment section. I probably won't respond. I won't reply. I might not reply to your comment, but I'll probably like and heart your comment anyway, because I accept that I don't know everything, and you should accept that too. Anyway, let's get on with the cards and what they do. So, when I first met you, or when AI first met you, it's a decent pun. You can only activate one of this card's name per turn, reveal a Cyberus monster with 2300 attack in your hand or extra deck, and add an Ignister monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand. You also cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn after this card results, except for Cyberus. During the end phase, if you do not special summon the revealed monster or a monster with the same name this turn, you take 2300 points of damage. Okay. So, initial impression, it adds a card. That's fine. I don't really care. I don't. That's not bad. It's never bad. I don't really care about the 2,300 points of damage. So if their niche is all about 2,300 attack, as what the Ignisters are, that's pretty cool. That's a neat little niche. As far as this card goes, I don't think that the you can't special summon except for Cybers is really a downside. I'm pretty sure the little I know about Ignisters, which is, like I said, it's very bare minimum, is they're almost all Cybers They're all Cybers, and they kind of always restrict you to using Cybers, which isn't a bad thing, since Cybers is pretty much what a lot of the Link monsters are. I wouldn't say most, but like a lot. And as far as the 2,300, you can avoid that if you really want to, or you can just probably take it. I've paid more life points for worse. Next up, Dark Infant at Ignister. Link 1 Dark Cybers Effect monster. Its arrow is to the left. 500 attack. 1 non-Link Ignister monster. Its first and second effect are hard ones per turn. If this is Link Summon, you can add 1 Ignister AI land from your deck to your hand. I'm assuming that's like their field spell. When a Cybers monster with 2,300 original attack activates quick effect, you can move this card to your main monster zone. It points to move this card to main monster's zone. It points to, you can change this card's attribute to any attribute until the end of the turn. I feel like that's a mistranslation, or maybe I'm just, misreading that, because it's just worded awkwardly to me. Unless it literally just means you move it over to the left one if it's in your main monster zone. Which is okay, I guess. Anyway, so it adds a card. That's usually pretty good. Said I don't know what most of these cards do, so the fact that it just adds a card in general is usually pretty good. Deck thinning is deck winning in Yu-Gi-Oh. Pretty decent. It's probably just going to be used to add the Ignister AI land, and then you link summon from there. That'd be my guess from looking at this. The second effect doesn't really scream good to me, but like I said, you guys can tell me about that, how good or bad it is. Next up, You and I, or You and AI. Continuous spell card. If Cyberse monsters with 2300 original attack special summoned, you can activate one of the effects based on the attribute of the summoned monster. You can only activate each of the following effects of AI once per turn per attribute. So, you can special summon, basically, you get each effect once. Have the attack of one face-up monster on the field until end turn. Okay. Lighter Wind. Negate the effects of one face-up card on the field. Okay. Fire and Dark special summons an Ignister token to help you link summon more. Fire and Dark, probably the best. Light and Wind, it's also not bad. Earth and Water, also not bad if you're going second to OTK. It is a continuous spell. I don't know if they have really good ways to search those out. Or if there's a way to search out any AI spell cards in the deck. So, keep that in mind. Continuous spell cards, to me, anyway, I'm not a fan of them because you can't search them out of the deck, so you have to kind of draw them naturally. Unless, you have an in-archetype search card for them. But as a whole, like, having to draw it would suck. If they have a way to search it out, great. So yeah, just take everything I say with the Ignister deck with a grain of salt. Just keep that in mind. Alright, Donmari at Ignister. Level 6, Dark Cyberse effect monster, 2300 attack, 0 defense. Hard once per turn on each of its effects. When an attack is declared involving your Ignister monster, you can special summon this card, and if you do, negate the attack. Okay, little protection for the battle phase. If you control a Link 6 monster, quick effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, then target one face-up card your opponent controls, negates effects until end of turn. Okay, so they have Link 6. They have a Link 6, which isn't really hard to get. Honestly, linking, you could always link climb for it, and Link 6ing, and having a Link 6, I know plenty of decks that can just do that easily. I'm assuming this deck probably can relatively easily summon them. So its negation effect is pretty good. It's just basically a walking negate. That's neat. Plus, you can, when you link this card away for said Link 6, it still offers the protection because you can activate from your graveyard. So that's pretty decent. As far as ways to get it out of your hand besides it summoning itself to negate an attack, I'm not sure. I haven't really seen much from the new support, so there probably is old support for it, and if that's the case, cool. Mano a mano. Okay, so the only thing I like about this deck is so far, I really enjoy the puns and the names. Continuous trap card. Third effect. Once per turn. It's a hard once per turn. Monster your opponent controls lose 100 attack for each card you control. Whatever. If your Ignister monster battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. That's pretty good. When your Ignister monster is destroyed by battle, you can target one Cyberse monster with 2300 attack in your graveyard, except the destroyed monster special summon it. Okay, I'm not impressed. At first glance, I'm just not. That's all I have to say. The first effect isn't relevant most of the time. Most decks have a way to could out this card or out your opponent's field anyway. The second one, it seems like it wants for OTKs. The third effect is a just in case. But the thing is that the third effect and the second and the first effect don't really work well together. So I think that, like, unless you only have one card. If you have one card on the field, then the first effect still isn't very good. Or two cards on the field because it'd count itself. So even if you only have this and another card, losing a 200 attack isn't very good in the first place. To make full use of the first effect, you would at very least, need 5 cards on the field in which you're probably already winning. So the first effect is kind of a win harder card, and the second effect rewards you still for, like, saying, hey, you know, if they somehow manage to get over that and everything, you get something back. I mean, which sounds good in theory, but I think that, like, this card is only for casuals. I don't like this card, is what I'm saying from my initial reaction. Next up, we have the Live Twin archetype. So, twins. So, Live Twin, Cassickle Frost, Light Aqua Effect Monster, level 2, 500 attack, 0 defense, so it's the same as the other two twins. Layla and all that. It can only be special summoned with the way of its first effect once per turn. Second effect is a hard once per turn. If you control a Leela monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay. If your opponent adds cards from your deck to their hand by card effect, and you control evil twin monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, draw 1 card. It's alright. This deck is all about just link summoning into their link monsters, which this card helps pretty easily, and most decks search, so you get to draw a card. So you just get a neat little draw out of it. It's also an aqua, so which is kind of funny to me. I'm sure that that's relevant in some way, but like that's kind of funny. Anyway, next up, last but not least, Fujiwara's partner Falls into Darkness, aka Dark Honest. This is a card I've been asking for and wanting for back since 2014. Back in 2014, early 2014, I should specify, where it was hat format, okay? And in hat format, the decks that were dominant were hat, which was an acronym that stood for Hand Artifacts, Trap Tricks. Infernities were a pretty good deck at the time. Fusions were a good deck at the time. Madolches were a good deck at the time because they just got in Jelly and they were a good OTK deck. Fire Fists were pretty good. Mermails were pretty good. There was a pretty diverse metagame in Yu-Gi-Oh! Hat was considered to be the best, but there were still a lot of OTK decks and stuff like that in the format. Now, back then was also when Fusions got Honest, their third copy of Honest. I say third if you count. It was 3 if you count actual Honest, and I'm referring to Crane as an Honest itself. So Fusions had regular Honest. They had Bujin Sinew, which was an Honest in the graveyard that did Honest effect of making your Bujin, when it attacks, it gains attack equal to the defending, or to the monster your opponent is battling, when it battles in general, but they take half the damage. And then there was Crane, which was the better one, which you send from your hand, and it doubles the original attack of a Bujin. The Beast Warrior Bujin specifically. So during that time, I was like, man, they should make a dark version of Honest. Granted, my idea for it wasn't Dark Honest. It was called Deceit, which means lie or dishonest. Was the idea, and I said it should be level 4 Dark Fairy Effect monster, have the same stats as Honest, which this one does, have the same return back to the hand effect as Honest does. I basically said everything that this card does. I haven't read this card out loud because if you played Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time, you know what Honest does. In case you don't, Honest was a light monster that says when a light monster battles, you can send it from your hand to the graveyard, and your light monster gains attack equal to the opponent's monster's attack. Dark Honest does the opposite. Dark Honest makes your opponent's monster lose attack equal to their attack, and only works when they battle a dark monster, which is what I said. That's what Dark Honest should do, because Darks, instead of increasing attack like lights do, they decrease attack, or your opponent's attacks, to fight through it, which is what this card does. This is a card I've been wanting ever since 2014, so I'm really happy to see that they finally made it, and especially at that time I was playing Black Wings, right? I played Black Wings, I played, I had the Remnants, or I had like a start to Hat before Hat really like phased out of the meta, and I had like a start to Sylvans as well at that time, but like I really, really wanted a Dark Honest for my Blackwing deck at the time, because Blackwings were a much more, like, they still like could spam the field, they could still OTK, they could still synchro spam, but the deck also played like a little bit slower by today's Yu-Gi-Oh standards, and I really wanted this for it, so I could have Kalut, which was like an Honest, and I would have this. Anyway, that is it for today. If it is your birthday today, happy birthday. If you want to send me any cool deck profiles or replays on using the Evil/Live Twins, the Ignisters, to show me, what they do, how they work, and, you can be like, this is why this card is good, you idiot. My email's in the description. Please do so. Well, don't call me an idiot, unless, But anyway, and of course, and as always, have a wonderful day.